The first time I heard Daniel Cross after his death, I was standing outside a dead German reactor at midnight, holding my rifle so tight my fingers hurt. War had taught me many sounds, shells screaming over trees, men praying in mud. But nothing in Europe sounded like a dead man whispering through a radio. His voice came thin and broken, like it had crawled through the mountain itself. "Ward," it said, "do not open the lower chamber." No one moved. Even the snow seemed to stop falling. 2 hours earlier, I still believed this was a simple mission. Captain Richard Voss called us into a ruined farmhouse near the Harz Mountains. The roof had a shell hole through it, and cold wind moved through the room. A lantern sat on a table. Beside it was a folded map, a black file, and one photograph turned face down. Voss looked at us like he already knew some of us would not return. "German forces are falling back," he said. "But intelligence believes they left research files inside an old power station 5 miles east of here. We go in, recover documents, destroy what we cannot carry, and leave before daylight." Sergeant Doyle gave a dry laugh. "Documents?" At midnight, Voss did not smile. "That is the order." I looked at Lieutenant Alan Pierce, the intelligence officer beside him. Pierce had soft hands and sharp eyes. He looked like a man who knew why we had been chosen. Master Sergeant Tom Rayleigh leaned close to me. "When officers call a mission simple, get ready to bleed." I tried to grin, but my face would not let me. In my coat pocket, I carried Daniel's last letter from home. His mother had sent it 3 days after he was killed. No one had the heart to return it yet. Every time I touched the envelope, I saw Daniel in that frozen field, staring at nothing while German flares burned above us. He had been my friend. More than that, he had been the one man who could still make me laugh. "Ward," Voss said, "you will lead the entry team." "Yes, sir." He pushed the map toward me. "This is your route." I studied it. A narrow road through pine woods, a dry creek bed, then the old power station under the mountain. But something was wrong. A section of the map had been cut away with a knife. "What's missing?" I asked. Pierce answered fast. "Old tunnel lines. Not useful." Riley's eyes dropped to the missing corner. "Then why cut it out?" Pierce took the map and folded it. "Because you do not need it." That was the first lie of the night. We moved out 20 minutes later. There were 9 of us. Voss, Pierce, Riley, Doyle, Eddie Hayes, Paul Bennett the medic, Jonah Mills the radio man, and me. A German prisoner named Dr. Martin Keller came too, hands tied, face pale under the moon. We left the truck under pine branches and walked the last mile. Snow covered our boots. Our breath came out white. No one spoke much. Even Doyle stayed quiet. Eddie walked beside me with his rifle low. "You think this place is real?" he whispered. I looked up at the black mountain. "Real enough for command to risk us. That doesn't make me feel better." It wasn't meant to. He nodded toward my pocket. "You still got Danny's letter?" "Yeah," I said. "His mother should have it." "I know, but the truth was uglier." I was scared to send it back because sending it back made Daniel truly gone. At 11:48, we reached the power station. It stood half buried against the mountain, black and silent, with broken windows and a tall smokestack leaning like it wanted to fall. The main gate hung open. The sign above the entrance was in German, rusted and cracked. Keller stopped walking. Voss pulled him forward. "Move." Keller shook his head. "You do not understand. This place is closed." Doyle shoved him. "Looks open to me." "No," Keller whispered. "Closed by order." Even our own men were told not to return. That got my attention. "Why?" I asked. Keller looked at me, and I saw real fear in his eyes. "Because of what is below." Voss stepped between us. "Enough." "Ward, take point." I raised my rifle and entered. Inside, the station smelled of wet concrete, old oil, and burned wires. Our flashlights moved over broken machines, smashed gauges, and papers across the floor. The place looked abandoned, but not long abandoned. Fresh boot prints crossed the dust. I lowered one hand and touched the mark. "German?" Eddie asked. I shook my head. "Could be. Could be ours." "Ours?" he whispered. Before I could answer, Mills raised a hand. "Radio traffic," he said. We froze. His radio hissed softly on his back. Then a voice came through the static, weak, broken, far too clear. Team Able, midnight sharp. Voss turned pale. Pierce stepped toward Mills. Shut it off. Mills looked confused. Sir, I said shut it off. But the voice came again. Caleb Ward. My blood went cold. Nobody outside my unit called me Caleb in the field. Eddie stared at me. Bennett crossed himself. Riley slowly raised his rifle toward the dark hallway ahead. Then the voice spoke one last time. It was Daniel Cross. I knew it. Every part of me knew it. Ward, he whispered. Do not open the lower chamber. A metal door slammed somewhere below us. And from deep under the dead reactor, someone started knocking from the inside. The knocking came from below us, slow and steady, like someone was counting the seconds until we made a mistake. No one breathed for a moment. Then Doyle whispered, That ain't no ghost. That's a German trick. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe Daniel's voice was only a wire, a speaker, some ugly little trap left behind by men who knew how to break a soldier's mind. But Daniel had called me Caleb. In the field, everyone called me Ward. Only Daniel used my first name when something was wrong. Captain Voss stepped forward with his pistol raised. Mills cut that radio. Private Mills stared at him. Sir, it came through our set. Same channel as command. I said, cut it. Mills obeyed, but his hand shook so badly the knobs clicked twice. Rayleigh moved beside me, eyes on the dark stairwell. Captain, if there's someone alive down there, we need to know who. Voss did not look at him. Our mission is the files. Bennett, our medic, swallowed hard. And if there are prisoners, Pierce answered before Voss could, then they are not our concern unless they block the mission. That sentence changed the air in the room. Eddie looked at me, and I saw the same question in his eyes. What kind of mission ignores prisoners? We followed the knocking down a steel staircase that curved beneath the station floor. The deeper we went, the colder it became. The walls sweated black water. Old wires hung like dead vines above our heads. Every few steps, Keller started whispering in German under his breath. Doyle shoved him. Speak English. Keller looked at all of us. You should not go lower. Voss grabbed his coat. You were brought here to identify research rooms. Do that, or I leave you tied in the dark. Keller's face broke with fear. This was never only research. Before Voss could answer, a scream came from behind a metal storage door. Bennett ran first. Wait, Pierce snapped, but Bennett had already reached it. He pulled the handle, locked. Doyle fired once into the lock, and the sound punched through the tunnel. The door swung open. A woman fell into Bennett's arms. She was young, maybe 20, with a dirty gray coat and a white cloth wrapped around one hand. Her face was thin, her lips cracked, and one side of her hair had been burned short. Please, she said in broken English. No more. Bennett lowered his weapon. We're Americans. You're safe. The woman looked past him at Keller. Her fear turned into hate. You, she whispered. Keller stepped back. Anna. She slapped him so hard the sound cracked through the room. Doyle laughed once, then stopped when nobody joined him. Voss leaned close to her. Your name? Anna Weiss. Were you forced to work here? She nodded. What is below this level? Anna looked at the floor, then at me. Not a reactor. Pierce's eyes sharpened. What do you mean? She hugged her burned hand to her chest. The reactor was the cover. The real place is under it. Keller shook his head. She does not understand the work. Anna turned on him. I understand screams. I understand locked doors. I understand men taken downstairs and never coming up. Really muttered. Lord help us, Voss said. Enough. We keep moving. I stepped in front of him. Captain, she knows this place, and she may be lying. So may he, I said, nodding at Keller. For 1 second, Voss looked at me like I had crossed a line I could never uncross. Then Mills called from a side office. Ward, you need to see this. The office had been searched before us. Drawers hung open. Ash filled a small stove. Papers were burned down to curled black edges. But on the desk sat a small metal box. Mills opened it. Inside were dog tags, American dog tags. My stomach dropped before I even saw the name. Daniel Cross, Eddie whispered. No, I picked them up. They were real. Scratched. Cold. Still looped on the same broken chain Daniel wore the day he died. Bennett stared at Voss. You said Daniel was killed west of here. Voss's jaw tightened. That was the report. Reports don't walk 5 miles into buried German tunnels, Riley said. Pierce reached for the tags. I pulled them back. Why are they here? I asked. Pierce kept his voice calm. Sergeant, give them to me. I looked at Voss. Why are they here? Before anyone answered, Mills's radio hissed again. This time, the voice was not Daniel's. It was clean, American, official. Team Able, confirm lower chamber access. Primary order remains. Recover marked files. Destroy chamber. No witnesses. The whole room went silent. No witnesses. Anna understood enough English to start crying. Bennett raised his rifle, not at the Germans, but halfway toward Pierce. Doyle looked lost for the first time all night. Captain, what is this? Voss did not answer. Below us, the knocking stopped. Then a heavy lock turned somewhere under the floor. Eddie found the hatch behind a row of broken control panels. It was steel, sealed from the outside with fresh tool marks around the edge. He looked at me. I should have told him not to open it. But Daniel's tags were burning in my hand like a sin. Eddie pulled the lever. The hatch groaned open. Cold air rose from below, carrying the smell of dirt, metal, and something worse. Eddie shined his flashlight down. His face went white. Caleb, he whispered, voice breaking. They buried our own men down here. The hatch opened into a darkness that felt alive. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Eddie kept his flashlight pointed down, but the beam shook so hard the light danced across the steps. I went first. Daniel's dog tags were still in my fist. The stairs led into a low chamber under the reactor floor. The air was cold and heavy. Our boots hit old dust, broken glass, and wet stone. Along the wall were crates marked in German, but some fresh American chalk marks across the lids. That was the part that made my blood turn cold. This place had not been abandoned. Someone had been here after the Germans ran. Riley stepped beside me and lifted his Thompson. Easy. Watch the corners. Bennett helped Anna down the steps. She covered her mouth when she saw the chamber. Tables lined the room. Files were stacked in metal cabinets. Maps covered the wall. One map showed Allied routes through the mountains. Our route was circled in red. Then Eddie found the first body. Not fresh, not clear enough to name by face. But the uniform told us enough. American. Doyle backed away. No, that's not possible. Bennett knelt, his voice small. There are more. I saw boots under a canvas sheet. 3 pairs. Maybe 4. I did not pull it back. War had already given me enough faces to remember. Pierce pushed past us toward the file cabinets. We take the marked folders, everything else burns. I turned on him. You knew. He did not answer. I grabbed his coat and slammed him against the cabinet. You knew Daniel was here. Voss pulled his pistol. Let him go, Ward. I did not move. Pierce's calm face cracked. Your friend found things he was not cleared to see. Eddie raised his rifle. Things like what? Anna stepped forward, shaking. Names, deals. German scientists moved out before soldiers came. Protected men. Keller spoke from the stairs. Because your people wanted our work. Riley looked sick. So command sent Daniel's team first. Pierce said, they were ordered to recover files, same as us. And when they refused to bury it, I asked. Pierce looked at the bodies and said nothing. That silence was the truth. For one long second, I wanted to shoot him. Not for duty. For Daniel. For his mother's unopened letter in my pocket. For every man who died believing command would at least tell his family why. Then gunfire ripped through the tunnel above us. Keller shouted in German and fell back. Doyle fired up the stairs. German holdouts. Bullets cracked off the walls. Eddie grabbed Anna and pulled her behind a table. Bennett dragged Mills down as sparks rained over us. Voss shouted, "Hold the stairs!" Riley moved like an old wolf. Ward, left side. Doyle with me. We fired into the stairwell as German soldiers pushed through the smoke. Our ammo was low. Every shot had to count. The chamber filled with noise, dust, and fear. Mills screamed when a round hit his radio pack. The set burst apart, dead at last. No more voices, no more Daniel. Just us. Eddie crawled to a cabinet and shoved folders into his coat. Caleb, these are the files. Pierce saw him and raised his pistol. Put them down, Bennett aimed at Pierce. Do it, Lieutenant, and I'll drop you. Voss looked between them. trapped between orders and men. For the first time all night, he looked afraid. Riley shouted from the stairs. "They're pushing hard!" A grenade rolled down the steps. Riley kicked it back before I could breathe. The blast threw dust and fire through the stairwell. Once the smoke cleared, Riley was on one knee, one hand pressed to his side. "Tom," I shouted. He waved me off. "Get them out. We're not leaving you." He looked at me with tired eyes. That's an order from someone who still remembers what honor means. Voss grabbed a fuel can and moved toward the files. "Burn it. Burn all of it." I saw Daniel's tags in my hand. I saw Anna crying over names scratched into the wall. I saw Eddie holding the truth like it weighed more than a rifle. Then I made my choice. I shot the fuel can before Voss could reach it. Fire spread across the floor, but away from the main files. Smoke filled the room. "Move!" I yelled. Eddie carried the folders. Bennett carried Mills. Doyle pulled Anna toward the service tunnel. I grabbed Voss by the collar when he froze. Pierce tried to take the files from Eddie. Doyle hit him with his rifle butt. No witnesses, right? We ran through the side tunnel as Rayleigh held the stairs behind us. His gun kept firing, steady and angry, until we reached the outer door. Then it stopped. Nobody spoke. Outside, dawn was turning the snow gray. Behind us, the reactor shook as the fire reached the old controls. A deep roar rolled through the mountain, and black smoke poured from the roof. Eddie fell to his knees with the folders under his coat. I opened my hand. Daniel's tags were marked with my blood from where I had gripped them too hard. Weeks later, the official report said we destroyed enemy research before it could be used again. It said Riley died a hero. It said Daniel Cross had never entered that reactor. But I sent his dog tags home myself. And I kept one page from the file hidden inside his mother's letter. Not enough to burn the whole lie down. Just enough to prove her son had died telling the truth. If this story pulled you into the dark with me, please hit like and tell me in the comments if I made the right choice inside that reactor. Subscribe to the channel for more dark wartime stories where the truth is never clean, and the cost always follows the men who survive. The next episode continues with another classified mission, one that began with a radio message no soldier was ever supposed to hear.